No Rest for the Weekend's coverage of the Brooklyn Film Festival is sponsored by JMR Rentals, professional digital cinema and broadcast equipment rentals in Brooklyn, New York. JMRNY.com. Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend. I'm Jason Godbey, bringing you a recap of the Brooklyn Film Festival. This year, the festival celebrated its 25th anniversary, featuring films from all over the world, including narrative and documentary features, as well as shorts and a full animation program. At an awards ceremony held on closing night of the festival, awards were presented to the top films. The award for Best Documentary Short went to Keys to the City. The Best Feature Documentary was From the Hood to the Holler. Best Narrative Short went to Act of God. And the winner of the Best Narrative Feature and the Grand Chameleon Award went to Pour l'Amour. The festival opened with the world premiere of the indie feature Signs of Love, directed by Clarence Fuller, who took home the award for Best New Director. Signs of Love stars Hopper Penn, Dylan Penn, and Zoe Blue, who won the award for Outstanding Achievement in Acting. No Rest for the Weekend's own Kayla Vera was there opening night to talk with Clarence and some of the cast of Signs of Love on the red carpet.
Good evening, this is Kayla Vera for No Rest for the Weekend here at Windmill Studios for the opening night of the 25th Annual Brooklyn Film Festival. Later I'll be speaking with filmmakers and stars of the evening, so stay tuned. Here with Clarence Fuller and David Michaels, writer, director, producer of the feature film Signs of Love. Guys, so this is the 25th annual Brooklyn Film Fest. How does it feel to be opening for the festival?
Honestly, complete honor. I don't think I could have planned it or wished for anything better. So I'm actually really excited.
I would agree. I mean, it's really amazing that we found ourselves here, and how they reached out to us with such enthusiasm, yes. You know, and without a doubt, we're humbled and so excited as to how this evening will go and where it leads us from here.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the project.
It's about family and the loyalty and bond that comes with that, no matter sort of where you're at in the world. We're always at odds sometimes with those family members, and it doesn't always appear to be as wonderful as it might be. And then when we find ourselves in these critical and crucial moments of self-revelation, how you pull together as that family. Whereas maybe a few weeks earlier or a day earlier, you thought you were coming apart at the seams. And I think Clarence was, really has woven together a really, a tale of morality here.
So what would you say are the plans for your film going forward?
Well, we have a distributor and a sales agent, so I guess it's in their hands, and see what they do, right?
We'll see what they do, and it's going to be released theatrically in November,
right.
Which we're very excited about, because you don't know these days, where that's going to end up, right? However, we're already, in the midst of planning our next movie, and we hope to get started very shortly.
Yep.
So before I let you go, where can we find some more info about the film online and also about you?
Fox Entertainment
Blue
has
Fox
a whole
will have everything,
a bank of things that people could go and see there. Of course, online with the festival, naturally. And you can find either one of us, IMDb Pro or what have you, or certainly just Google us and attach us to the film name, and you're going to see a lot from there.
The trailer's out there, too.
Yeah, the trailer's circulating, I think, on YouTube and many other platforms right now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Here with the lead characters of the feature film Signs of Love, Guys, I just spoke with the filmmakers, and now I really want to get the details of the roles that you play. So here we have Zoe, Hopper, Was, and Cree. Did I get that right?
You got it. You got it.
So let's start with you, Zoe. Tell us about your character. Who did you play?
I played Jane. I am a young deaf woman. Jane is kind. She's strong-willed. Although she seems quiet, her love is very profound. It's very loud, and she falls in love with this one, Frankie. And
why wouldn't she?
I don't know, kind of acts like a light in his life amongst all the chaos that he endures in Philadelphia.
Zoe, what were the challenges of playing a deaf girl?
Learning sign language was really difficult, but it's amazing. It's a beautiful language, and I want to practice it more. Don't ask me to do sign language right now, please. It's been a while, but it's, really body language is like one of the sexiest, most beautiful and universal language. People who are deaf, they read lips. So they're constantly watching how you move your lips, and that's how they understand what you're saying. And so I really had to be silent, which, I'm a very loud person. I'm kind of obnoxious, but notoriously maybe.
I can't tell right now.
So it was really interesting to play a deaf woman and enjoy the so-called silence and see the music and how people move. That's that. I tried to appreciate more things. I really was observing everything around me, and I got to love the people I was working with because I was, learning their body language, and that's more personal. I think more intimate than exchanging words.
This sounds like a beautiful love story. So I wanted to ask you, Hopper, how did it feel playing Jane's love interest, and what did you take away from the movie?
The cool thing about working with Clarence as the director was he was very willing to put me in the situation kind of that Frankie would be in. So I asked, I was like, can I stay in Philly? Can I stay in the place that Frankie would actually live? It turned out to be the worst decision I ever made, but it definitely worked.
Why?
Well, the main reason is I put my trash on the wrong side of the street, and my neighbor pulled a gun on me for that reason.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was in a rough neighborhood.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's really easy though to take it across the street.
And you come from where?
The safest town in the world, in Marin County.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that worked out really well, and I don't know. Frankie's tough as fucking hell, and he's just kind of a badass, and he's a gangster, and he's a drug dealer, but there comes to a point where he meets Jane, and he also has his brother Sean, and he's desperately wanting Sean to be more of her tribe, and he knows he's kind of
wants a
has
better
this,
life for his
and
nephew.
I don't think he sees it originally for himself, but it ends up happening, which is great. And I think that's what a lot of people hopefully take away from this movie, that you can make changes and you can take the right path.
Very inspirational. I love that. Mm-hmm. So, Was, you must have played a bad guy.
Oh, shut up. Does he look like
Definitely not.
a villain right now?
I always play the damn villain. That's it. Cut this. No, I'm just kidding. I play Hopper and his sister in the film's father, who just happens to be a crackhead and homeless and incredibly damaged and fucked up and a terrible father. But Frankie's got a huge heart in the film, and he sees me every day and takes me to lunch. And he's got a banged up situation, but he's got a huge heart, and he kind of overcomes what he's been dealt, thanks to me for being such a fuck up as a father. And so the relationship between the two of us is really strong because it progresses as the film goes on, and he helps my character get clean, and then we kind of rekindle at the end. Yeah, it was good, and it was great working with this guy.
You guys look like a great team.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. We'll find out in a few minutes when we see the movie. We haven't seen it yet.
We haven't seen it.
No, Clarence wouldn't let us.
So, Cree, Tell us about your character.
Oh, yes.
Was it fun?
It was the most fun I think I've had in my life. Yeah, it was so fun. Well, at that point. But
What do you go through?
yeah, so I was playing his nephew, his younger nephew, but it was more like a sort of older brother, younger brother type situation. Yeah, because like his sister's my mom, so it's kind of like an absent father. Like, you know, she's not very attentive.
Okay.
It's more like, yeah, kind of like you're gonna do what you're gonna do, and I know about it, but it's like I'm not gonna say anything because like it's making money for the house, basically. So it's sort of like a really, it's not a situation that I would wish on any, you know, kid going through his formative years. It was really cool to just be able to like get into that headspace and realize that, you know, it's like people go through this all the time. It's like, and I was like ignorant, you know, didn't like really think about it, but this, you know, role kind of helped me realize that like, yeah, it's tough. Like, not everybody comes from like, you know, happy parents, you know, good situations. So
So that's what you took away from the movie.
definitely. Yeah.
Amazing. You guys have to watch it. Signs of Love. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And good luck tonight.
Later in the evening, Kayla caught up with the festival director, Marco Ursino, who spoke about the festival's evolution and their plans for the future.
Marco, so 25 years. I mean, we've been through 9/11, the 2008 crash, now the pandemic. How does it feel to be here today, celebrating this important milestone?
But the festival, since you mentioned it, is exactly that kind of opportunity. Is you know, instead of reading the daily paper, the festival is the yearly, let's call it paper, where, you know, all the important topics of that year are displayed on the screen, and so it's an opportunity for the audience to discuss. And I think the independent filmmaking is most probably the most honest medium. People make films for very specific reasons, not necessarily for money. Money is comes next. There is really that kind of drive, you know, telling the truth, the discovering things, make a difference with their story.
I love that. Marco, tell us what's a little background on the festival. What's the mission?
The mission is very simple. It's basically discover, expose, and promote independent filmmakers while drawing attention to Brooklyn as a center for cinema. That was always our twofold mission. Obviously, that was 25 years ago that we came up with this mission. It still is our mission, but Brooklyn is Brooklyn. We made the difference when it was time, but now Brooklyn is a big concept. So we keep doing our thing, improve cinema, but you know, there are big studios, there are big productions, lots of independent filmmaking is here. I mean, so it's a
And
good place
still
to be.
projects like what we're seeing today, The Signs of Love.
I think we got lucky to find this film. As I said, you know, presenting the festival opening with my opening remarks, I said that it is important that we show a little bit of everything. That we don't get stuck on any particular thing, but all the films come from summations. So it's a choice of the filmmaker to reach us to us. We are not going to festivals to pick up the best and then make a nice minestrone. You know, like if we
You must
make
be
a minestrone, we exactly. But we like it to make it in a different way.
I wanted to ask, since I know a lot of filmmakers are watching this, what qualifies a film to be selected? What makes the Brooklyn Film Festival?
Obviously, after 25 years, even before, I mean, this was like from the beginning, a certain level of professionality in meaning good photography, good sound, good, things that otherwise will make the film unsellable or, not marketable. So it has to be a film well made, but then doesn't mean with money. It could be made with nothing, if you know what you're doing.
So the story is also very important.
The story is the key. That's where I was getting, basically. The base is that. And the difference between independent and Hollywood is that, in independent film, you don't figure out the end in the first 5 minutes. In Hollywood film, you do just that. You already know how it goes. While in independent films, it still surprises you.
You've introduced the virtual aspect to the festival in the last few years because of the pandemic. Do you think this is something that will continue going forward?
Yeah, we're going to keep doing it because it's obvious that the first 2 years was an incredible thing. It's also obvious that now there is a little bit of, being tired of the online thing, that people want to go back and meet people. But that doesn't mean that this is just waves. So eventually we open a door and we're going to keep it open and we're going to get better and better and we're going to create our own structure without partners. We're going to do it.
Before I let you go, tell us where we can find more information about the festival online.
Well, for sure the website, brooklynfilmfestival.org. The social media. I mean, we are on, you find us very easily on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to answer my questions.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. Marco Ursino, the director of the Brooklyn Film Festival.
And now here's William Hammon to talk about some of the films of the festival.
One of the things I look forward to every year with the Brooklyn Film Festival is the animation program. Each year we get a plethora of diverse stories, art styles, themes, and sensibilities, and this year was no different. There were 23 entries overall, which the festival divided into subsets of comedy and drama/fantasy. Here are my favorites from each category. On the comedy side, my top pick goes to My Year of Dicks. Based on a memoir by Pamela Rybin, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, this is a series that explores the chaos of puberty in funny, endearing, and cringeworthy ways. Set in the summer and fall of 1991, Pamela is a teenager in Texas looking to lose her virginity, and each episode is a vignette of her misadventures with various boys she dated, while the final one involves a really uncomfortable and misinformed talk with her parents. Each segment has its own identity as the art style adapts to the central characters. The main motif is this sort of quasi-rotoscope pencil sketch look that makes everything feel a bit more real than expected. But in a brilliant creative decision, different animation styles are woven in to reflect the character of Pamela's paramour du jour each time. The first is this goth skater punk guy, so there's a gritty charcoal feel whenever he's around. A later segment has her dating a closeted gay man who's really into cutesy stuff, so they bring in this kawaii anime style that's rendered in there. It's really quite clever. But more importantly, it's just refreshing to see this type of well-worn story told from a female perspective. There are tons of sex romp comedies out there, from Porky's to the American Pie series, but they're almost always taken from the point of view of the horny guys trying to turn in their proverbial V-card. Only in recent years have we really gotten to see the same humorous insecurity, awkwardness, and confused sex drive from the other side. We're finally starting to see a balance in these stories, and My Year of Dicks feels like an essential addition to the formula. For the drama and fantasy set, my non-existent vote goes to The Grave of St. Orrin. Based on a poem by Neil Gaiman and narrated by the author, this is a rare and fascinating look at religious horror through the lens of animation, specifically through a layered paper style that serves as something of a visual metaphor because the story is biblical in nature and it feels like pages turning in a book. But also, this is such an ancient tale that the reliability of any level of truth in it is inherently flimsy, like paper. Gaiman's poem is about St. Orrin of Iona, an early Catholic martyr who died on the Scottish island of Iona in the 6th century. It's believed that his grave once served as the foundation of a chapel built on the island. He was a companion of St. Columba, and according to legend, he volunteered to be buried alive as a foundational sacrifice so that their chapel could stand and withstand the weather. In Gaiman's tale, however, Orrin is an Abel-like figure, with St. Columba serving as a Cain who murders his brother in Christ after receiving a vision of the required sacrifice, letting the proceedings a much more sinister vibe. The legend continues that Columba dug up Orrin, who rose from his makeshift grave to declare, quote, "There is no hell as you suppose, nor heaven that people talk about." This only furthers the horror effect, because now Orrin is a victim giving warning to the living not to follow the church as prescribed, because the rewards or punishments that are promised after death are not as they seem, and perhaps not even real. The philosophical questions this raises are numerous, and the expert presentation of the story is what really gets it across. In addition to the animation, the narrative features offer a wide range of compelling stories from all over the world. For me, the one I just had to see was Shambhala, which last year was submitted to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences as the official entry from Kyrgyzstan for international feature film. Based on an acclaimed Kyrgyz novella called The White Ship, the film is about a boy caught in the crosshairs of a generational and cultural conflict in his family. The title character, played extremely well by a young actor named Artur Amanaleyev, lives in a secluded clearing in a mountainous forest area, essentially cut off from the rest of the world. He lives with his aunt, uncle, and grandparents, as his father is supposedly working on a ship at sea. The ambiguity of his parents' fate is an essential part of the story, as Shambhala only has secondary blood relations to cling to, and their absence leaves a lingering insecurity as the film wears on. The central conflict lies with Shambhala's grandfather and uncle. His grandfather is an old mystic and gamekeeper who believes in a religious and spiritual worship of nature. He tells the boy tall tales about how their family line is descended from a great forest deer called the Mother Deer, and tries to instill a love and respect for all living things. On the flip side, Shambhala's uncle Araskul is a modernist who does not desire to live in isolation. He works with outside businessmen to try to develop the area by building new roads and even bring satellite television to their small commune, and is much more concerned with the comforts of life. No better is this incompatibility shown than in an early scene where the grandfather prays to a tree for permission to cut it down so that he can build a yurt for Shambhala, taking a sudden breeze as consent. Meanwhile, Araskul merely rolls his eyes and humors the old man before getting his saw out. The reason this works is because, at least initially, these ideas are not aligned, but they're also not directly antagonistic. If anything, both perspectives can work in tandem for a really well-rounded experience for Shambhala. However, things come to a head when the boy accidentally discovers a totem statue of the Mother Deer in the woods. His grandfather thinks this is a blessing, while Araskul only sees the profit in selling an artifact. What starts as a compromise on the issue quickly turns into a proxy war, with Shambhala caught in the middle of two, now extreme, worldviews. The reason this plays so well is twofold. One, the cinematography and the scenery of Kyrgyzstan is absolutely gorgeous. For a story so intimate and insular, the scale of the environment around the characters gives the proceedings this extra bit of gravitas, showing us that while this story is relatively self-contained, the larger issue affects the entire world. And for what I can only presume is a film with a very limited budget, the special effects really work, especially when they see the Mother Deer itself rendered in some pretty convincing CGI. The production values are pretty much through the roof on this thing. Second, Shambhala himself is depicted perfectly. Not only does Artur Amanaleyev give a great performance, the filmmakers maintain this very delicate balance of empathy for the child's plight, while also allowing him to maintain his childlike sensibilities. In essence, Shambhala acts like any reasonable kid would in these situations. He's loving, he's silly, he's curious, but he's also scared, uncertain, and insecure about issues he doesn't fully grasp yet. It would have been so easy to let him drift into this sobbing melodramatic mess, or have him make brave decisions that would not befit someone his age. It's definitely to the film's credit that the central character is as real as possible. It's a unique take on a very common storyline, told with a deep sense of understanding of childhood that very few others are able to pull off. For that alone, it was worthy of serious consideration, and I'm so glad I had the opportunity to see it for the festival.
And for more information and a full list of award winners, visit the festival website, brooklynfilmfestival.org. And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for taking this trip down the rabbit hole. For more of our content, including our film festival coverage and movie reviews, visit our website, norestoftheweekendpodcast.com. Don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And now you can subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/getbehindtherabbit. I'd like to thank Marco Ursino and all the creators for coming out to join us. And of course, a big shout out to our sponsor, JMR Rentals. For Behind the Rabbit Productions, Kayla, Vera, William Hammon, and myself, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.